President Trump and his administration continue to deny that there was any breach of national security after military plans were shared in a Signal group chat with a journalist. Yesterday, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg, joined us first here on Morning Joe after sharing more of that text chain. In those messages, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth laid out how and when attacks would be carried out on Houthi rebels in Yemen. Despite clear evidence there was classified information in this group chat, Hegseth and others dismissed any wrongdoing or tried to downplay the incident.
I noticed this morning out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information. My job, as it said atop of that, everybody's seen it now, team update, is to provide updates in real time. General updates in real time, keep everybody informed. That's what I did. That's my job.
There was no classified information transmitted. There were no war plans discussed. Why did The Atlantic downgrade their allegation about war plans to attack plans? They're now playing word games because they know this was sensationalist spin from a reporter who is well known for doing this. We have said all along no war plans were discussed, no classified material was sent. You have the Secretary of Defense saying that. You have the director of the CIA, the director of National Intelligence, the FBI director, all testifying to that under oath, and they should be trusted with that.
You said it's not war plans. Would you characterize these as military plans, military operation plans?
I would characterize this messaging thread as a policy discussion, a sensitive policy discussion, surely, amongst high-level cabinet officials and senior staff. And I'm so glad, Peter, that you said the American public can decide for themselves, because I think the American public should decide for themselves based on the outcome of this operation.
I think it's all a witch hunt, that's all. I think it's a witch hunt. I wasn't involved with it. I wasn't there, but I can tell you the result is unbelievable because the Houthis are looking to do something. They want to know, how do we stop? Can we have peace? The Houthis want peace because they're getting the hell knocked out of them.
But somebody in my group either screwed up or it's a bad signal. You know, it's a bad signal, happens to. But it seems to be maybe came in with a staffer, and it was by accident, from what we can tell. We'll know pretty much today, I think. But we have some pretty good guys checking out the phones. But it's something that is not a big deal, other than you want to find out who did it and how they did it, because you don't want to happen, you know, in the future. You can't have that happen. There was nothing in there that compromised, and it had no impact on the attack, which was very successful. It was a very, very successful attack.
All right, you sort through all of that, everything we heard, and the president finally got to, that can't happen again, which is a great way to start and finish, which is somebody in my administration made a mistake, which he said at one part, and then a lot of other words, and then that can't happen again. But in between that, everybody at the White House, well, not everybody. I mean, Marco Rubio stood up and spoke out. But I was watching Pete Hegseth, and it reminded me of, you know, The Last Jedi at the end, where Luke Skywalker says, everything you just said is wrong. It really was. I mean, the fact that you have a SecDef saying this is much ado about nothing, and it's, oh, nothing. There's nothing in there. When he's talking about where the F-15s are about to launch, the target is in range. No, nobody's ever been in national security, ever. No general or admiral, no lower ranking officer, no NCO, nobody I ever talked to in 30 years of doing this. From the Armed Services Committee to the Pentagon, to talk going in and out of one White House after another White House, would have ever said that, which brings me to the Wall Street Journal editorial, the one right below a shock to the GOP from MAGA country. The White House protest signal, which brings us, the Wall Street Journal editorial says, to the administration's defensive insistence that the chat didn't disclose any war plans, which is a weak attempt to obfuscation. Here is one of the messages that the Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg released on Wednesday from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, 12:15 ET. F-18's launch. Later, 15:36, F-18, second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. This, writes the Wall Street Journal, is obviously sensitive information about a pending attack. And in the wrong hands, it could have compromised the mission. It didn't, and the Houthi strikes were a success and represent the best of Mr. Trump's instincts on restoring deterrence. But Mr. Hegseth on X.com on Wednesday was dismissing this episode as the media peddling hoaxes. The White House is allowing its mistake to dominate the news for days and devolve into a larger question of competence. The administration seems to think it can bully its way through anything by shouting fake news and attacking the press. Sometimes, as we said yesterday morning, it needs to admit a mistake, take the loss, and move on, which we are happy to do. Willie.
Donald Trump has one gear, and so too do his underlings, Secretary Hegseth, which is blame somebody else. No surrender, no retreat. Never admit a mistake, blame somebody else. So you get what we saw from Secretary Hegseth there. I don't think he believes a word of what he was saying. If he does, we have a bigger problem. If he actually thinks it's okay to put what are clearly attack plans, you just laid them out. My God, they're on the front page of the New York Times this morning. The front page of the New York Times has the attack plan for this operation. If he actually believes that that's not a problem, that's an even bigger concern, I think, for the country. But you have the administration kind of flailing between the President of the United States saying signal could be defective. Maybe the signal is bad. Some suggestion he doesn't understand what Signal is, which is a commercial app for ease for communication, saying it's not classified. And then perhaps that Jeffrey Goldberg broke into the conversation, which is, of course, not what happened, as he laid out and showed very clearly yesterday. So, David Ignatius, it doesn't appear that there's going to be any assumption of responsibility here. It doesn't appear there are going to be any consequences at the moment. So what are the implications of all this?
Well, it's a sorry spectacle to see these senior officials defending, in very lame terms, something that every enlisted man or woman in the U.S. military knows is wrong. There's been a chorus of people who have deep experience saying that. And also, I've been really troubled by the personal attacks, the nasty personal attacks on our colleague Jeffrey Goldberg, who just happened to be in the wrong Signal chat. What effect is this going to have? There are thousands, I want to say hundreds of thousands of people in the military and intelligence agencies who have to live by the rules of protecting classified information. It's important that they do that. And what are they supposed to think as they hear this parade of excuses and denials that something they can see with their own eyes is inappropriate as happened? I think that's some of the lasting damage here, is it erodes the structure for keeping secrets, not just for this little group, but for the whole country.
And you know, we're going to be bringing in Alex Ward in a minute from the Wall Street Journal, but he makes a great point. You know, as the Wall Street Journal editorial page said, they're having this semantics argument over war plans and attack plans. In a sense, attack plans are actually more dangerous because that's when you're specifically putting U.S. servicemen and women in harm's way. So, but it's such
the White House says they're downgrading it to attack plans, trying to distort the meaning of the word.
Well, again, nobody believes that. Literally, nobody believes that has ever spent a day and the military or the intel community.
We had General Herdling here yesterday. Sorry to interrupt, but just to underline what he said, which was, well, of course he didn't put war plans in a Signal group chat. That could be 100 or 1,000 pages. It's this broad document. But attack plans are a specific document telling me
And are
time
classified.
and targets.
Time, yeah, and targets, and that's what makes it so dangerous. I want you had said something interesting about Donald Trump, about the president when he was saying certain things. There are a couple of tells there. He, of course, witch hunt, plays all the MAGA hits. But there were a couple of tells there. One, which was, this was a mistake. This can never happen again. That's a tell. But there was another tell in there that you said he usually says when you when you know he's really angry at somebody inside the White House.
Yeah, it's something that has covered Donald Trump for a long time now. When he distances himself from something, I didn't nothing to do with it. I didn't know about that. That's a tell. And the people around him have confirmed this in the past. We're like, that means he's angry at something and somebody, putting responsibility elsewhere. I didn't have anything to do with this. This is about somebody else. And to further on the point, talking to some people in Trump world yesterday, I mean, yes, the nonsense of the semantics of attack plan versus war plan. It's true. We're not at war with Yemen, but this was an attack with the Houthis in Yemen. That is still clearly very sensitive and classified information here. The question is, what's going to happen next? There is a sense in the West Wing of circling the wagons. They're not sure they want to quote someone I spoke to yesterday, give a scalp, particularly to a reporter, Jeffrey Goldberg, who they dislike because of the tough coverage he's given in the past. It's Trump's instinct to keep this team together, but that's not certain just yet.
Not yet.
Not just yet. But it is interesting how the blame seems to be, at least within the Trump world, far more on Waltz than Hegseth, even though the initial purpose of this group was unclassified. It was a signal group to get the names of staffers to coordinate a meeting. Waltz did that. He made the mistake of adding Goldberg. That's obviously a huge mistake. But it was Hegseth who then escalated by putting in the sensitive information. He's the one who actually turned this into a national security breach.
Yeah.
But Hegseth, far more popular in MAGA world than Waltz. His job, at least for now, safer, although both at this moment feel like Trump's not going to push out.